Well, it's a Friday briefing. I'm with Chris Thomas. And it's 303 days since you issued your policy of what's going to happen, and your.
Wow,
I know,
you know that.
I told you I've kept it on my timer because the programme for government, the mid-year report is now out. Mm-hmm. This is it. It's quite a chunky piece. You've given us some highlights, but obviously there are some failings. I mean, and I can be negative, I can be positive, but you'll no doubt give me some great stuff there. But overall, let's try this one. Are you happy with the progress you've made?
I think very much so. This is not the best moment in the Isle of Man's history. We've got a population that fell for the first time for many, many decades between 2013 and 2016. There's, as I said to you before, there's some negativity about what government's doing and what public services we're providing and how we're providing them. But what we've got in the programme for government is we've got a clear indication of what we're trying to do. We've described it very exactly with 6 macro indicators. This year, I think personally, we've got a bit bureaucratic in the way that we've pursued our programme for government. So we can. I think I'll be able to persuade people of that. So we'll be able to simplify the programme for government approach at the first review. But I think the most important thing is that we're clear about what we're trying to do, and I think the figures demonstrate to the public that we're achieving what we're trying to do, and that there are signs that it's having a positive impact on our economy and most importantly on our society.
Okay. Let's talk about the things you haven't managed to do there, because I mean there's quite a few on this list that haven't got quite where you wanted to. Well, I want you to tell me about them, because I mean this, I say, it's a massive report here. Ones that you particularly got your eye on that should be better than they are. Well, let's spin it round, because I'm a positive person. So what we've actually done is we've increased median earnings. We've worked with the private sector and the charities who employ people, and the average person in the Isle of Man, the middle person in the Isle of Man, is earning more in real terms just than they were last year, and that's happened now for a couple of years. Obviously the great days of the Isle of Man were in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, when every year people got pay rises. Wouldn't it be great if it was like that again? But the world scene is different now, and I think it's quite an achievement to get the middle person, median earnings as we call it, earning more, and that should give them confidence, and that should help us address things like people leaving the island, not being able to stay on the island because of economic opportunities. So more good news in the in this mid-year report is that we've got more businesses registered to pay people and pay tax, and another good thing is that the economically active population has increased. Okay, yeah, but hang on. The National Income Report says the island's gross domestic product stood at 4.45 billion, a decline of 0.9, so almost 1% down.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's true. Alongside this programme for government mid-year report, we've got the GDP report, about which we've issued a parallel press release.
Well, I know, sorry, mixing these two together, I know, but you just giving one example there of income.
I'm the person who's sitting here with you, Paul, on the first time in 33 years that a politician's been sitting here on this day when we declare national income to say that the overall national income hasn't gone up last year. Alan Bell had a 30-year career, and every year that Alan Bell was in post, he could sit here and as big, various stages of his political career in different roles, but say that the GDP has gone up. This year, I'm here to say that the GDP last year, so not last year, but in 2015-16, in the last year of the Alan Bell administration, went down by 0.9%.
And the island's growth national income, GNI,
went down by just over 3%.
3.4, nearly 3.5, yeah.
But there's good news in that, and that's what I also want to stress. The good news is that the personal income, the income paid to people, that really matters, money in people's pockets, money that, if it's there, will give them more confidence to go out and invest in themselves and in their families and in their island. That went up last year, even adjusted for inflation, for the 3rd year in succession. So yeah, corporate income went down. But we've got an economy that's different from that in the UK, more similar to that in Ireland, as I'll come to in a minute, but our national income is predominantly corporate income. 70% of it is corporate income. So if one or two large companies do things such that income is not in the Isle of Man but is somewhere else, that will impact on our overall GDP, and that's what has happened last year.
there's been a bit of a reduction in the e-gaming sector. There's been such that the e-gaming sector is no longer the largest sector in the Isle of Man. The insurance sector is the largest sector.
That was quite surprising when I saw that, I must admit, because we always assumed that e-gaming was always going to be on the growth for a little bit longer, I suppose.
And it has been. It's been a massive growth, and it's a great success, and it's been very valuable. We've got wonderful buildings around Douglas that we wouldn't have had if the e-gaming sector hadn't been here. It's very valuable. As you heard from Daphne Kane. As people heard from Daphne Kane in the last few days, there's been lots of employment generated from the success of the e-gaming and all the ancillary professions around it. But yeah, this year the total amount of economic activity in the e-gaming sector has gone down slightly, and that's what's caused our GDP to decline by 0.9% for the first time in 33 years.
And your Irish point is that?
Well, my Irish point is that in the same year, 2015-16, we're talking about, the Irish economy grew by 26%. The Isle of Man economy has never grown in all its golden days of 30 years of growth, grew by that much. It never grew by even half that much. And my point is that that's also effect from corporate income, and it sort of, to some extent, relates to the data theft episode and so on, conceivably, because it's all about where companies book their profits.
I will do lots of other interviews with you, but I mean, this is available online, isn't it? I mean, this is your sort of stuff. I mean, it's way outside my thing, because it's just charts and figures and things. I was just trying to get an overall, back to that original question about, can we do better? Obviously, you can do better. I mean, how would you rate it as a school report in this sense? Are you happy with the term you've had?
Yeah, you already asked me that when we were interviewing personally, and I gave you a 5, but we deserve more.
Yeah.
And this is the first piece of evidence I've been able to give to you and to the general public about why we deserve more, because we are very clear about what we're trying to do. And we're trying to have our growth to be inclusive, to put money in people's pockets, and this shows that we're doing it. We're trying to make sure that the government is financially responsible, and this shows that we've got an 80 million structural deficit and that we're trying to address it, and so on and so on. We've got 6 or so clear objectives, and this provides the first clear evidence of what that is and how we're doing.
Are you the headmaster on this? Do they come to see you and say how they've done in their own silos?
I'm sure I'm not the headmaster. I'm trying to think quickly then what the thing would be. But I'm probably the school matron. I'm probably the one that you come to when you've got an issue, and I try and work out a way that you can deal with it better.
It's you. This is you at the end of the day. You go back to them and say that's not good enough. We want more, or you're doing well. I mean, right? The buck stops with you.
I don't think so. I think anybody who had that view about themselves would be naive. The government is a 7,500 person organisation with chief executives responsible for those people
in silos.
And what we're trying to do, as is shown by something, for instance, the Vision 9 report you might be asking.
We'll come into that another interview. Yeah.
Is that what we need to do is we need to understand that government's got to act together to achieve a clear purpose, and that purpose has got to be the right one. I'm really looking forward to November, December, January to see how people react to this
That's my next
document.
question. Do you think the next one's going to be better?
I think in January we'll have a new programme for government, in the sense that the last year's one will be refreshed. The overall objective of making the growth work for more people, making sure that this government is providing public services that show to people that we care.
Okay.
We now need to revisit some of the things we're going to do next year. We're laying out our legislation, which has been carefully matched to the policies that we're trying to achieve, and I do think we'll have a very rich debate in November. In January we'll have a refreshed programme, and things will
this is going to Tynwald next year, isn't it?
It's going to Tynwald in November for debate, and then we'll work with the departments and politicians to put together a refreshed programme in January for approval in Tynwald, as it was last January.